Story 1. She either spent a lot of money or she invited us to do something she knows I am not fond of. Story 2. She wants another pet, and she knows of one that needs to be rehomed immediately. Story 3. This is probably a do-it-yourself project she is about to pitch to me. I will be in hook, line, and sinker. Story 4. He's trying to convince me a hot dog is a sandwich again. Story 5. I am single right now, but knowing the people I date, I expect they will tell me I should quit my job so I can be the sound technician for their band when they go on tour. Story 6. He is about to suggest a plan that is not mine but is definitely better. Laughing out loud. Story 7. He has applied for a job and received an interview that, if successful, will require us to make a big move. Story 8. It means she has already decided on something and committed to it. Now she wants me to agree that it is a good idea, because whatever she decided on will require a lot of work from me. Story 9. There is a puppy nearby and we own it now. Story 10. Either we are getting a dog or they crash the car again. There is no in between. Story 11. She was likely invited to an event and would like me to travel with her. Story 12. She is probably asking permission to do something I told her not to do. I will hear her out before deciding whether to allow it. Story 13. He will probably be talking about how amazing the DualSense controller works in some games, or that the background music in the game is so realistic that it gives him chills. Story 14. A quirky idea for a date or a video game she wants us to play together. Story 15. They have a big idea to do something that might be harmless but could be foolish. Either way, I'm here for it. Story 16. My girlfriend won't leave me alone about having a threesome with another woman. On the surface, what man would say no? Sounds amazing. The problem is I don't trust that she's ready to see me actually pleasuring another woman and that she'll enjoy it. Not all money is good money, man. Story 17. I want to add a sister wife to our marriage. No. Story 18. We decided what to cook for dinner earlier, but she now wants a chicken sandwich. Story 19. There are 19 Amazon boxes coming tomorrow instead of the usual 14. Story 20. She passed away 4 years ago, so whatever it is, I'm listening. Story 21. She is about to propose buying something really expensive. Story 22. Usually it means he wants to buy me something or buy something silly for himself. If I'm telling him, hear me out, it is because I have found a fictional character I find attractive and want his opinion. Story 23. There is definitely a dog somewhere in our house, and I was not consulted. Story 24. She is going to want to spend money on something we do not need, and although she knows it, she will probably buy it anyway. Story 25. Oh, this sounds serious. Laughing out loud. You have to tell me what is going on next. Story 26. Either he wants to buy a motorcycle or he wants our retirement home, which we will rent out for the next few years. Story 27. He wants to buy or do something he knows I would not support. Last time he suggested diet supplements for weight loss. Earlier he mentioned a camper that a friend of a friend was selling. Story 28. Have you heard about those super boars coming down from Canada? Story 29. The most likely explanation is that one of her friends invited her on a vacation trip, and she knows I do not have the time off to join. Story 30. An elaborate plan, probably with friends, for something I am not going to enjoy and that will cost a lot. Story 31. Another smoker, barbecue, or new outdoor kitchen. Story 32. He bought a motorcycle. He would expect me to have added a new dog to the family. Story 33. He told me something about building an experimental machine using common kitchen items. I told him I was getting another dog. Story 34. It's time for an iced coffee and a run to buy Halloween decorations. Story 35. Now I'm expecting something either hilarious or totally out of left field. Story 36. He wants to start a do-it-yourself project for the 3rd floor of the house. Story 37. It's going to be his next project, how to achieve world dominance and get rich while at it. And he's recruiting me to join him. My answer is always, you are fucking nuts. Let's do it. Story 38. This probably has to do with taking a detour from our shared goals. Story 39. She is going to want another dog. We are not getting one. Story 40. He wants a very expensive new toy that they probably can't afford. Story 41. I said or did something that was wrong. Story 42. Disney has a special right now, and I booked another trip. Story 43. She agreed to something she should have discussed with me beforehand. It is not life-changing, but it is bothersome. Story 44. Let's buy more land and start a farm. My husband dislikes society and wants to live away from it with just the animals and our small family. Story 45. It is probably a fun trip or a cool art idea they have come up with. The last time it happened, we went to a Renaissance fair and had a blast. Story 46. She has an idea to renovate a bathroom, the kitchen, or something else. Okay, the phrase "hear me out" is almost exclusively used after 1.5 glasses of wine. Story 47. Maybe you should not watch the Mets anymore because they just seem to make you sad. Story 48. We get some helium balloons, a beach chair, and some laxatives and get revenge on those pigeons. I do not know the particulars, but I know it will be weird and I am in. Story 49. There is this card. It is expensive, but they only made 5. My husband is a sports card enthusiast. Story 50. She brought home a dog, or she has developed significant dog-related plans. Story 51. They want to try something kinky in the bedroom or something super tasty in the kitchen. Story 52. A sales pitch explaining how she will sell her existing designer purses to pay for a new one. Magically, however, the number of purses never decreases. It only increases. Story 53. It will be about her need to buy several plants or an idea for how we can sell our house and move to a remote, wooded area of the country. Story 54. It is about her family visiting. I love her family, but I do not love weekends inundated by them. Story 55. Something about how she found cheap flights to Santorini. Story 56. She broke, scratched, or damaged something of mine by accident. It is like a child who knocked over their mother's favorite vase and is trying to confess. I would respect her for being forthcoming, though. Things can usually be replaced. No big deal. Life goes on. Story 57. They lost money or broke something that could not be replaced or concealed. That would be a very nice way to inform me now. Story 58. He wants to move the family across the country again for a job he applied for, interviewed for, and accepted without telling me. Story 59. Oh my God. All these answers make me realize how traumatized I am after being cheated on. The first thing I imagined was that my partner would say they had cheated on me or that there was someone else. Story 60. I did this last night with my partner, laughing out loud. It was about my theory that the whole Generation Z, millennials, and boomers discourse is a psychological operation to cause intergenerational strife, because if we are fighting each other, we are distracted from the real wrongdoing going on. Story 61. He has something technical in mind or it is related to a credit card. He is always looking to maximize our benefits and cash back. Update. I asked my husband what I should follow that statement with. He said it would be about a house project, since I am always doing home improvement projects or planning something, or it would be about the children. Story 62. Oh God. There are so many things. I'd expect we should touch eyes. Story 63. Interaction with others might mean seeing her friends or going to the store. Sometimes there is a bribe at the end, but she typically forgets it, so I ignore it. Story 64. I put in a big pickup order from Michael's. I'm always happy to get it for her. She's an amazing crocheter. Story 65. She is about to present the wildest theory about Berserk or Xenoblade you have ever heard. I love it when she does that. Story 66. She is interested in buying a crafting machine, such as a Cricut, a 3D printer, or a countertop mixer, to start an Etsy shop for side income. We buy it, and I learn everything there is to know since I'm better at that stuff. Then she has buyer's remorse, and I end up with a few days' worth of research and a new hobby to share with our child. I will support her because she is a wonderful partner, and my hobby brings encouragement and joy to my girls. Story 67. We should sell the house and move closer to my parents. Story 68. He has a strong preference about our next action. I do not disagree and need no further information, but he wants to run it by me just in case. Story 69. He is about to rearrange plans that had been set in stone for months to fit in an enormous steak dinner, and I immediately approve and dig out my drinking shirt. Story 70. It would be a wild theory about Pokemon that she had just come up with. Story 71. Justification for buying another plant or video game. Story 72. He is going to suggest that we order takeout, cuddle, have some edibles, and relax. Story 73. The last time she said that, about a month ago we bought a $12,000 horse. That would be my guess. Story 74. In more than a decade of marriage, I have yet to detect a pattern. Mostly, it is things that make me groan. Story 75. He's about to try to convince me of one of the following. We need insert technology here. His computer needs insert expensive hardware here, but he calls it an investment, babe. Most recently, he is trying to sell me on season pass tickets to National Basketball Association games for our team. Story 76. Hear me out. I bought new bike parts, so the bike will run better. Story 77. Wife. It's not gay because I'm a girl. Me. Does it have to be black? Story 78. I'm not sure, but let me get a drink and a blanket so I can enjoy the show. Story 79. She met someone else. Okay. She wants to remodel the kitchen, bathroom, and basement. Oh hell no, woman. Story 80. He is either asking for new electronics or asking that it be put in my butt. Story 81. She wants to rescue yet another stray cat and has a grand plan that somehow does not violate our agreement not to house any more pets. Story 82. Something about going to a concert, a theater production, a movie, or a theme park together. Story 83. My wife always says, out of the blue, I love you, in a tone that tells me I need to brace myself. Story 84. He bought something expensive, such as a property, or brought home a pet that will be costly in the long run. Story 85. What if we order Chinese food instead of me making this new healthy recipe, which is much more time-consuming than I thought? Story 86. We should go to a music festival or a rave. Story 87. This is probably some unhinged stuff about how to build a Minotaur e-girl in Pathfinder again, which is chill. He helped me make the Kool-Aid man, so I am willing to listen to the nonsense. Story 88. She is going to ask me whether she should buy this big, brightly colored shoe or that other one. Both normally cost as much as a small car but are deeply discounted on Poshmark. Story 89. She wants to take pictures of feet. Yes, I've had this exact conversation before. Story 90. He wants to move to another state for a better job opportunity. Story 91. I am currently pregnant, so he is probably trying to convince me that we should name the baby after one of the hobbits. Story 92. Okay, hear me out. She asked to go somewhere that is a long drive away. She did this today, and now we are driving 2 hours to Niagara Falls. Also, she is a passenger princess. Story 93. My boyfriend and I love spending $10 on popovers once a week, so it is likely to be another $10 popover night. Story 94. Considering how my entire friend group is, she's probably about to pitch a show, comic, or movie with an absolutely off-the-wall premise that will either blow my mind or just be a fun ride. For example, the movie Cocaine Crabs from Outer Space. Was it good? No. Was it fun? Without a doubt. Story 95. He is going to jokingly try to convince me to move to Winnipeg again. Story 96. He is probably about to suggest we eat something high-calorie and delicious instead of chicken and salad. I am definitely up for it. Story 97. I have been running the numbers, and I think we can do another Disney trip this year. Story 98. Okay, hear me out. I am not your significant other. I am married with 9 children. I do not even know your name. Story 99. He wants to order pizza twice in the same week. Story 100. I want to be able to play games on my Apple IIe computer. I need a way to route both the microphone and audio cables to the correct ports on a laptop so I can transfer the games to floppy disks. Alternatively, I could use a dedicated monitor for the Apple IIe. A card to use a video graphics array monitor would cost about $35, and the monitor would be at least $70. I already have the computer and the audio cables. I just need about $60 for a new laptop battery. Story 101. If I had one, it would probably force me to go out and interact with people which I dislike. 0 out of 10. I would not recommend it. Story 102. She thinks I'll like this weird fusion food or the show or movie she found. Spoiler. I usually like the food but don't like her show recommendations. Story 103. She wants to get pregnant even after everything we discussed. Story 104. Let us stay at Disney for the night. I am always on board. Story 105. She just stumbled across her next project idea. Oh boy. Story 106. I would like to start pegging you while someone else watches. Story 107. He has another house project idea he saw on TikTok for 30 seconds but lacks a plan and the necessary equipment. Story 108. She wants to go somewhere that is at least an hour away and wants me to drive. Story 109. He bought materials to install a stone patio and a second shed. Story 110. Years ago, I dated a very stubborn, prideful person who would argue about anything. Now hear me out, would introduce lame points they had already raised in a pointless argument days, weeks, or months earlier. Story 111. Someone wants to rearrange the entire house, so we can change it back in a week. Story 112. He bought another bike, a kayak, or a fancy tool for his bikes. Story 113. Probably something about the empty toilet paper rolls again. Story 114. She has an idea for some shenanigans and doesn't see any downsides yet. Bullshit, but fun and harmless. Story 115. Your significant other maxed out the credit card on Pokemon again. Story 116. Getting a Switch 2 now is saving us money in the long run. Story 117. He wants to get another dirt bike or trade his motorcycle or something along those lines. Story 118. Knowing my wife, it could be any number of things, but it is always expensive and a lot of work for me. Story 119. We get just a little bit of blow and head to the next bar. But we'll cut it off at 2, go home, and we won't feel that bad tomorrow. Story 120. Screw 9 to 5. Let us buy a rundown house with a nice plot of land and become farmers. We have no agricultural experience and we do not have the means to buy a house. Story 121. Something messed up is going to annoy you. I am single, by the way. Story 122. She wants another dog or a large monstera plant. Story 123. He is going to show me a dog with either a physical abnormality or a strange name that he wants to adopt. Story 124. He was either explaining his updated zombie apocalypse plan or trying to convince me to adopt a dairy cow that needs fostering after she was let go from her job. Story 125. She saw a very good deal on a new hobby item and really needs it. She has been researching it for months, so she knows it is a good deal. We are going to pick it up this evening, and I will help carry it home. Story 126. It is usually a terrible investment idea based on zero research and an "I just know this will work" claim. That means he has already spent the money before telling me. This is a confession, not a conversation. Story 127. You want to bring home another fucking pet, do you not? Story 128. You stop spitting out your medication and realize I am not here in front of you. You do not have a partner. I am not real. Story 129. He has spent or is going to spend a lot of money on something very frivolous. Story 130. He wants to buy a stupid appliance or something we do not need. Story 131. I just know that spending a significant sum of money or a large portion of my time is somehow involved. Story 132. Taking your schizophrenia medication isn't such a bad idea because I don't have a significant other. Story 133. A wild idea for a ridiculous TV show or movie, probably incorporating fantasy monsters and giant robots. Story 134. He should buy a new bike because one of his 5 bikes does not count. He does not use it. Story 135. He wants a new all-terrain vehicle, a hunting dog, or a boat. And he is always expecting my contribution of money or time. Story 136. There is some sort of animal that is admittedly cute. She would like to add it to our family. Story 137. We are getting a new animal, expanding the garden, or I will have to move many heavy items and build something. Story 138. He is trying to get me to play all his old favorite video games, starting with Silent Hill and then Resident Evil. To be fair, Silent Hill 2 has been a lot of fun. Story 139. He has a ridiculous idea for a project that involves me doing most of the work, but it is fun, so I am in. Story 140. It is about her spending money on something that made me say what the heck. Story 141. There is a new game coming out. They told me more than I wanted to know, and it costs $89. Story 142. He wants to spend money on a video game or something related to gaming. Story 143. Nothing serious. She might have ideas for home repairs or renovations, or even a reasonably priced trip. If she said, "Sit down, we need to talk," then I would be worried. Story 144. He either wants to get muffins from the bakery or has an all-day home repair planned. Story 145. My brother and I played pranks on my mom when we were kids. Hey, hear me out. What if we turn the living room into a giant pillow fort and then go play outside? Story 146. I found this power tool on Facebook Marketplace. The seller said he can meet me later today. I do not have one. Story 147. They mentioned a food dish or recipe they'd like to try, but no complaints. Everything they've come up with so far is really delicious. Story 148. My husband found a strange, obscure game on Steam, and he wants us to play it together. Story 149. Either they planned this road trip for hours, or they just knew I hate long drives and wanted to test my patience. Story 150. I definitely bought more plants. I think my significant other would probably go for dessert. Story 151. Either we are both taking sick leave the next day or he wants takeout. Story 152. She wants to do or buy something expensive, and it will immediately turn into an argument if I say no. She thought of an unusual food combination that she wants me to make. Story 153. Recently, we had a conversation about the finest people we could name. I reckon he would name another. Story 154. My husband usually just wants to order pizza when he does this. Story 155. Something completely stupid like, orange juice is soup, but raspberry juice is not soup. And then I have to say something stupid back like, if it has pulp, it is clearly stew. Story 156. He has decided he knows how to time travel and we have to pack up and move to another dimension. Story 157. I'd expect him to ask if we can go for coffee, food, or Lego. He's easy to please. What can I say? Slightly related, whenever I have an activity that I want to pitch that I know he might not love, I come up to him and say, "Hi, sharks. In return for 20% of my company, I'd like to propose my idea." It makes him laugh and usually helps. Now he is going to see the new Demon Slayer movie with me this weekend. Story 158. Something good. As for conversation starting phrases, it's on the opposite side of the words, we need to talk. Story 159. I think we need goats. It will save time mowing the lawn, and they are cute. Literally what I am expecting. Story 160. It is either a new theory about a movie or a new theological hot take, and it should be entertaining. Story 161. He injured himself in a ridiculous way. The night before our wedding, after being together 10 years and having 3 children, he asked if we had any hydrogen peroxide. He had fallen off his longboard and had road rash on the entire right side of his body. He missed his face, though. Story 162. I think I should put a rowing machine in the bedroom. You have a whole finished room above the garage that you do not use. Story 163. Oh man, I did this one randomly a while ago and startled the heck out of my wife. I just wanted to talk about how capes and capelets are criminally underrated, as I had been wearing one to take the dogs out for a week or two and was completely sold on it. Story 164. A questionable idea. They know I will say no, but they still try their best to make it sound good. I love their enthusiasm, but you are not getting me to use a filthy Dixie toilet. Story 165. A new business plan that he will lose interest in after exactly 1 hour of trying. Story 166. Something silly and brilliant that will elevate our quality of life. Story 167. My wife did essentially this, and we are spending Christmas in Las Vegas. Story 168. Either she spent a lot of money, or she is trying to get me to agree to something crazy. Story 169. This is her. I know we should have discussed this, but... Story 170. Some crazy idea about where we should live that I can talk her out of in about 30 seconds. Story 171. He will either say something completely absurd or he will want to buy something cool to put on our wall. Story 172. He ditched our pre-made plans for his friends again. The consequence he gave for me being upset was staying out even later. That's a quote from him. Thank God he's my ex. Story 173. His mother is coming to live with us, or we are giving money to someone in his family again. Story 174. He just bought 5 bags of white cheddar popcorners because they were on sale. Story 175. The latest in a long line of excuses for why she is always late. Story 176. Whatever it is, it will be food-related. Most likely it's a recipe he stumbled on that he thinks is unorthodox and wants me to try. The last one was an egg and cheese sandwich with peanut butter and maple syrup. It was pretty good, honestly. Story 177. He wants either another motorcycle, another cat, or to do something ridiculous to our house. I am fighting to the death on all 3. Story 178. He wants to buy something or visit a nerdy place. He has added technology to the home and wants to attend a technology convention. Story 179. Something related to Minecraft or Warframe. I am not much of a gamer, but I try to play to make him happy. Sometimes, when I really do not want to play, he tries hard to convince me, and I feel so bad that I end up playing with him anyway. When he explains why his idea is not dumb, unsafe, or risky, even when it is, I try to listen. Oh well, you live and learn, right? I love you, honey. Story 180. He bought something expensive and large for his hobby that will not fit in his office, so he must make space for it elsewhere in the house. Story 181. She is about to convince me that it's cute, better than her current one, or that it will save her time and allow her to do other tasks. Story 182. Let us wear a chicken costume and order chicken nuggets. Story 183. He is either trying to make me go to a gaming convention or a metal concert. Story 184. He found a really good deal for a trip and is asking if I would like to go. Story 185. If I drove us 3 hours away this weekend so she could look at and buy wool or yarn at a fiber event, we could also go to this amazing-looking restaurant that she will then show me on Yelp. I say yes, and we have a lovely day. Story 186. She is about to propose something she knows I do not want to do. Story 187. This is something I do not want to hear, but it is important for me to understand their viewpoint. Failing to hear them out will certainly alienate me further, so I should sit down and listen despite whatever macho thoughts are coming up in my mind at the moment. Story 188. A pallet of yarn and craft supplies is arriving from Amazon. Story 189. He found a way for us to finance starting an airsoft company again that is moderate risk but offers high reward. Story 190. He wants to build a man cave with the money we've been setting aside for roof repairs. Story 191. I know that whatever comes next, I now have an excuse to spend money on something stupid. Story 192. Would you still love me if I were a worm or something very odd? Story 193. It might have something to do with the recent argument we had. Story 194. He has some idea about our distant future, but he phrases it in a way that makes me think I need to act immediately or that he wants to open a roller rink. Story 195. Asking me if I want to try cooking an obscure dish. Something else unusual, but not really. Story 196. You need to stop looking at the lamp, dear. We are worried about you. Story 197. Not with her anymore, sadly, but it would usually be an idea for a Minecraft build or a craft she was working on. Story 198. It involves either moving something large into or out of the house or making a trip to the dump. Story 199. All I know is that it will likely be dripping in shenanigans. Story 200. Let's sell everything we own and live off the grid. Let's go underground. Let's be wild. Story 201. I do not care. That phrase makes me irrationally irritated, and I will stop paying any attention the second I hear it. Story 202. Typically, when someone begins by mentioning something super duper funny, something they heard or saw online, or an incident at work they want to rant about, I take it as a precursor to something extremely funny. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.